in Harkaway, where I grew up, we grew up on George Ray Avenue, actually the corner of George Ray and Olive, which were the two that originally farmed the area. We were all the BMX bandits in the street on George Ray Avenue, probably about 20 kids. Someone's mum, didn't have to be your mum, would yell out at whatever time and everyone had to go home. But everything in Harkaway was just, you knew everyone looked out for everybody, and I just think it was the best way to grow up. I left school early, I was only 15 years old, so I hadn't quite completed year 10. Education wasn't important, it just didn't suit me at the time. So I went back and re-educated. At the age of 25, I started my education journey. I've now done a diploma, a graduate diploma, a master's recently, and I think continuous learning is the way to go. So after school, you could talk McDonald's retailers very quickly, and then I went in and I worked in real estate. I worked at the Crown Casino for a little while, so all really hospitality, customer service roles. I landed a job at a prison, so I worked in a prison for a couple of years, which was a journey in itself and a great learning journey for me in communication. It was always my goal to enter the Victoria Police ever since I was a kid, and I managed to do that in 2001. My greatest achievement whilst in Victoria Police was easily the Operation New Start program in Dandenong, to take young people out of their setting entering the justice system and give them the tools to succeed in life. The greatest outcome, or the best achievement for myself, which I can look at and how it impacted me, was seeing a young person who went to court after our program to run into her years later and see her as a nurse was probably one of the proudest things that I've had outside of my own family, where you genuinely know I made a difference in her life. This electorate was held by the Labor Party, so it was a risk, and I had to sell my business. I put everything on the line. So the day I was elected, I literally had about $50 left in my bank account and no backup because we'd spent everything on that campaign. And then the results are here today. I've been here 13 years. As an MP, you get to do massive projects and some really small stuff that, again, might not mean a lot to a lot of people. But if I was putting into my two greatest achievements whilst being a Member of Parliament, number one is we fought super hard to get the Officer Specialist School against everything. So at the time, the government didn't want it. When we got into government, the department didn't want it. And it's now nearly full. It's an amazing school, and it's giving kids with special needs a real chance and opportunities that they would not have got if that school wasn't built. My proudest achievement as a Shadow Minister is to stand with the CFA volunteers in Victoria. We know that it was a huge fight they had, some of the biggest changes in the fire services, and the evidence is now slowly but surely proving right what we said. If you don't stick up and respect the volunteers, they will leave, and we're now down to 25,000 operational volunteers here in the state, which is a drop from 38,000. That's a huge issue we're going to have long term, but I was so proud to stand up with them side by side with the people who are the very people you want in your community fighting for you and with you. It was our time to stand up with them. My community is my home, so I love everything about my community. I'm Berwick born and bred. I've played footy here, I've coached here, I've been involved with the football clubs, I've been involved with community groups. Why am I attached to it? I just simply love it. I walk out my front door with a smile, I come back in with a smile at the end of the day because I just think I live in the greatest place on earth. I feel it's important to engage with community groups for me as a person because I need to give back and help develop the community feel that I had as a young person. I wouldn't be here today without those skills and tools that I learned in my local community. I feel it's important as a Member of Parliament to engage with those community groups, to stay close to the ground. As the economy changes, we can talk about it in our bubble in Parliament and go, the economy's bad and this is what's going on. The reality is each of those stories is a person. Our role is to make sure that those community groups survive however we can. If we have to support them with funding, support, and just staying involved and getting out to the clubs, that's how we learn the most about what's going on in our own community. It's my opinion that small businesses are not just the backbone of the community, they're one of the most important things to building a strong community. And they're so important to the community, not just because they cook our pizzas or make our pasta or whatever they do in our local community, but they actually know the community and engage with them. They sponsor the community groups, they donate to the local country fire authority, they support people in the community, and they know what's going on the ground. If you want to see an amazing example of humanity at its best, then look at the Sikh community, who not only deliver in India, but are now delivering in our local community. The Sikh community vans, they've got a couple, we have based in Clyde North and Officer. So they travel around with food to emergency services response, or any family that needs it. So when we had the fires down in Gippsland, they're the first truck to turn up with food for everyone. So there's no questions asked, they just feed people. I think it's one of the greatest assets we've got now here in our community. I'm not a beer drinker as in a Carlton draft man, I'm a craft beer man. I love going out to different breweries. We're really lucky, we've got 3806 in Berwick now. It's not just about the beer, it's about the food that goes with it, it's about the friends that come with it. Close friends play a few different roles, where they engage you back into real life and they bring everything back to reality. So sometimes I come home and the front page of the paper says negative thing against me, and they'll remind you that today's front page is tomorrow's fish and chip wrapper. All those wonderful things, but they also remind you of things in real life. We're going through some challenges with one friend at the moment, and these are the things that they remind you of. Life's not just work, it's not just politics, but politics is everything about life. So the decisions we make in politics can impact on people in such a big way, and seeing friends go through challenges through the health system, then that governments have a responsibility, and it just reminds you of how important it is. But at the same time, they're the same people that remind you that, Brad, you're just Brad. You're not anything special. You're the bogan from Berwick who loves getting tattoos, loves drinking beer, and loves football. And as long as I can stick with that with them, then I'll leave politics in a great way. Getting away in my own mind, I think everything is about exercise. And it goes back to one of my beliefs in my entire life is if you can't take care of yourself, it's very difficult to take care of others. So I always make sure that I remain reasonably fit. I try and train where I can. I've trained in boxing, and right at the moment I'm training at BFT in Berwick, where I regularly do classes 5 or 6 a week. That is my mental health escape. It's my engagement with people who don't care about my politics. It's the one where the bloke standing next to me pushes you harder and makes sure that you lift the extra weight that you didn't think you could do, and you can challenge yourself in ways that you never thought you could. So lifting, moving, getting my heart rate up, all those things, I think is just my escape from everything. First and foremost, when I think about Liberal values is the individual. I'm a huge supporter in every person has the right to achieve what they can when they can. I believe in equal opportunity. I don't believe everyone should just get equality. I think everyone should get the same opportunity for that equality. So they're probably the most important ones. But I also think it's about supporting small businesses. It's about allowing people the opportunity to growth. It's about picking up those along the way that fail. It's about supporting the most vulnerable in our community. The best way to do that, in my view, is small government. When governments start getting in the way of everything, generally things go wrong. So when small government can step back and let their private enterprise and the private sector take it over, and the market takes care of itself. Family values, in my view, and I'm probably a little bit different to a lot of my colleagues too, family values is what you want your family values to be. If you're in a family with fostered kids, if you're in a family of a marriage with same-sex parents, I couldn't care less. If you're in a loving home that supports you, that you can work together to build each other, then to me that's family. When I leave politics, I just want to make sure that I leave as I came in. If I left a legacy, it's our justice system is changing, and the better outcome is not just community safety, but there's a whole group of young people who have genuinely got an opportunity in their life to make change for themselves, for their families, and for their communities long term.